What if the only thing holding you back wasn't failure, but the fear of what people might say about you? That hesitation before speaking your mind. That second guessing before posting, sharing, starting, or even dreaming. It's not always fear of falling flat, it's fear of judgment. The silent opinions, the side glances, the words that aren't said but are clearly felt. And the worst part? It doesn't matter how kind you are, how talented, how well-intentioned. Someone, somewhere, will always have something to say about your choices, about your looks, about your ambition. And if you're not careful, those words will begin to shape you more than your own. You've felt it, haven't you? That invisible pressure to please, to conform, to shrink yourself so you don't attract too much attention or make anyone uncomfortable. It starts subtly. You lower your voice in rooms where you should speak louder. You play it safe when your heart is screaming for more. You hesitate to stand out, not because you're unsure, but because you've been made to believe that being fully seen is dangerous. And you're right, it is dangerous. But not because there's anything wrong with you. It's dangerous because most people don't know how to handle someone who's done hiding. The fear of judgment is universal. Everyone feels it. But few ever admit it. Fewer still learn how to rise above it. Instead, we let the opinions of others steer the direction of our lives. We edit ourselves to stay likable. We stay quiet to avoid conflict. And slowly, without noticing, we drift away from who we really are. Until one day we wake up wondering whose life we're even living. But here's the truth most never hear. Judgment doesn't have to own you. It doesn't have to shape your self-worth or define your future. You can learn how to face it, rise above it, and even grow stronger because of it. Because the goal isn't to avoid being judged. That's impossible. The goal is to stop needing approval to move forward. To stop giving your power to people who haven't walked your path, lived your story, or earned a say in your destiny. That's what this is about. This is about reclaiming your voice, your courage, your identity. It's about no longer letting fear of opinions write the script of your life. Because once you understand why people judge, and more importantly how to detach from it, you become free. Free to be bold, free to be messy, free to be you, fully, unapologetically, powerfully. And if you stay with me, I'll show you how. You'll learn how to see judgment for what it really is, how to protect your peace, and how to walk through life with unshakable confidence. Because when you know how to handle judgment like a pro, nothing can stop you from becoming who you're meant to be. Not opinions, not criticism, not fear, only freedom. You don't need everyone to understand you to live a powerful life. And the truth is, most won't. Because people don't see you as you are, they see you as they are. Through their lens, their filters, their fears. Every judgment they pass on you has more to do with them than it ever will with you. It's a reflection of their own limitations, not yours. And once you realize that, you stop taking it personally. You stop shrinking to fit someone else's comfort zone. You stop asking people for permission to be who you already are. People judge because it's easy. It gives them a false sense of control, a temporary superiority. They don't have to understand you if they can label you. They don't have to examine their own insecurities if they can focus on your differences. That's what judgment really is. Protection. Most people are not trying to hurt you. They're trying to protect themselves from your ambition, from your authenticity, from your light. Because when they see someone brave enough to live fully, it reminds them of all the ways they've played small. You don't need to defend yourself. You don't need to argue. The most powerful thing you can do is continue. Keep walking. Keep building. Keep showing up. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove to yourself that their opinions never had the power to stop you. You're not here to be agreeable. You're here to be real. And that will always come with resistance. Not everyone will clap. Not everyone will get it. That's not your concern. What matters is whether you get it. Whether you believe enough in your path to walk it, even when the crowd goes silent. When someone judges you, pause, take a breath, and remember, this is not about you. It's a projection of their inner world. You were just the mirror. Their reaction says more about what they're afraid to face than it ever will about your growth. And if you internalize that judgment, you give it life. You turn their misunderstanding into your self-doubt. But you don't have to. You can let it pass. Like a cloud in the sky, a noise in the background. You are not obligated to carry what was never yours to begin with. This is how you take your power back, by refusing to absorb what does not belong to you. by knowing yourself so well that no one else's definition of you can stick. That is the kind of confidence that doesn't yell, it radiates, quiet, steady, unshakable. Because it isn't based on being liked, it's based on being true. And when you commit to that level of truth, you begin to live free. Judgment may still come, but it no longer moves you. You've outgrown the need for approval. You've chosen self-respect instead. And that shift, that's where your life begins to change. If you've ever felt the sting of being misunderstood, you know it cuts deeper than most wounds. Not because it's true, but because you hoped someone would finally see the real you. And when they don't, when they twist your intentions, when they reduce your depth to a simple label, it feels like rejection. But not just of your actions. It feels like a rejection of your soul. That's why it hurts. That's why judgment doesn't just bounce off. It lingers. It settles in the quiet corners of your mind, replaying itself in moments when you're already unsure, already vulnerable, already trying to convince yourself that you are enough. But pain, no matter how sharp, is not proof of truth. You can be wounded by something completely false. You can be shattered by someone else's ignorance, even if it holds no weight. Don't mistake the intensity of emotion for accuracy. Just because it hurts doesn't mean it deserves space in your identity. Feelings are valid, but they're not always right. Sometimes the ache you carry was planted by someone who never truly knew you, and you owe it to yourself not to water that seed. You are not obligated to believe every opinion spoken with confidence. You are not required to absorb criticism just because it came from a familiar voice. What you are responsible for is protecting the truth of who you are. That is your job every single day. Because if you don't, the world will gladly hand you a version of yourself that keeps you small, keeps you quiet, keeps you easy to understand. And you weren't made for that. You were made for depth, for courage, for growth. And growth always threatens comfort. So of course people will have something to say when you start becoming more. Of course they'll question your motives when you raise your standards. It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It often means you're finally doing something right. Don't be discouraged by resistance. Be encouraged by what it reveals. It shows you're stepping beyond the version of yourself they once knew. It shows you're changing, stretching, evolving. And that kind of transformation makes people uncomfortable, especially those who've settled for less. You become a mirror they didn't ask for, and sometimes that reflection is too honest for them to face. But it's not your job to soften your shine to protect someone else's comfort. Your job is to keep going. Keep building your truth, even if no one claps. Keep showing up, even if they misunderstand your silence. Let them talk. Let them assume. And while they do, let you rise. Because your worth is not up for debate. Your identity isn't up for vote. The deepest power you'll ever hold is knowing who you are, and refusing to let the noise of judgment drown out that knowing. That clarity is your anchor. That belief is your shield. That truth, when protected, becomes your freedom. You don't have to fight judgment to rise above it. You just have to stop giving it authority over your peace. Every time you react to someone else's opinion, you hand them the pen and let them rewrite your story. You let them dictate how you feel, how you move, how you show up in the world. And the truth is, they're not qualified. They don't know your full journey. They haven't lived your pain, carried your burdens, or fought your silent battles. So why let them become the narrator of your identity? There is real power in not responding, in staying grounded while others try to pull you off center, in recognizing that not every comment deserves your energy. Some opinions are designed to provoke, not help. And the more you entertain them, the more you lose time, clarity, and focus. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your choices when you've made them from a place of alignment. Silence, when rooted in confidence, speaks louder than any defense. Let them wonder. Let them talk. Let them fill in the blanks with stories that make them comfortable. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to stay aligned with your truth, to remain calm while the storm of opinion swirls around you, to be so rooted in self-awareness that no voice, loud or persistent, can drown out your inner knowing. That kind of detachment doesn't make you cold. It makes you free. You don't disconnect to punish others. You disconnect to protect yourself, to preserve your peace, to build a life that isn't constantly dictated by emotional reactions. That's strength. That's wisdom. That's maturity. Because reacting to everything that triggers you doesn't make you powerful. It makes you controlled. Real power is choosing when to engage and when to walk away. You are not built to carry the weight of everyone's expectations. You are not made to constantly prove your worth to people who only see a fraction of your heart. Your value isn't dependent on being understood. It's grounded in the fact that you exist, that you grow, that you wake up every day trying to become a more honest version of yourself. That's enough. You don't have to be everything to everyone. You don't need universal approval to move forward. The world will always have opinions. What matters is whether you've built the inner strength to stay true through the noise. Detachment is not about indifference. It's about discipline. The discipline to not let someone's misunderstanding turn into your self-sabotage. You are not here to live a life so easily shaken. You are here to live rooted, steady, focused. And that begins when you stop measuring your worth by the volume of applause or the sharpness of criticism. When you can hear judgment and not be moved, you've stepped into a higher version of yourself. One that doesn't chase validation because it has already chosen peace. You are allowed to use judgment as fuel, not as a cage. You don't have to ignore it, suppress it, or pretend it doesn't bother you. You can take it, feel it, and still rise from it stronger than before. Because when you strip away the noise, every judgment is really an opportunity, a signal, a test, a challenge. Not to change who you are, but to deepen your commitment to who you've chosen to become. What they say about you doesn't define you, but how you respond to it reveals everything about where you're going. You can let their words stop you, or you can let their words sharpen you. You can use it as a reason to retreat, or a reason to go harder. The discomfort you feel when criticized is not weakness, it's growth. It means you're stretching past who you used to be. It means you're stepping into places where others have never had the courage to walk. And of course that will make people uncomfortable. Of course they'll push back. But resistance doesn't mean you're off track. Sometimes it's the most reliable sign that you're finally moving forward. People don't criticize what they don't notice. And they rarely judge what doesn't challenge them. If they're watching, it's because something about you matters. If they're judging, it's because something about you reminds them of their own potential, their own power, their own fear. You awaken something in them they're not ready to face. And their judgment is how they try to silence that discomfort. But none of that is about you. That's their battle. That's their mirror. Your job isn't to dim your light for the comfort of those who haven't yet found theirs. Your job is to keep shining. Let their doubts drive you. Let their criticism clarify your direction. Let their judgment make you even more intentional. Because every time someone questions your worth, it gives you the chance to remember it. Every time they speak against your vision, it gives you the chance to recommit to it. That's how the fire inside you is built, not in praise, but in pressure, not in comfort, but in contrast. You grow stronger when you stop needing agreement to validate your path. You don't need to convince anyone. You just need to continue. You don't need to explain your purpose to people who were never meant to understand it. The real ones will feel your energy before they understand your strategy. The rest are just spectators. So let them watch. Let them wonder. Let them underestimate you. Because their judgment has no power unless you give it permission. This is where you rise. Not by erasing their voices, but by turning up your own. Not by pleasing the crowd, but by proving to yourself that their noise can't drown out your clarity. Judgment may follow you, but it doesn't have to define you. You're not here to be accepted. You're here to become unstoppable. Peace is not found in the absence of judgment. It's found in your decision to no longer let it penetrate your inner world. You can't silence every critic. You can't control how others perceive you, but you can control what you let inside. You can train your mind to filter what serves you and discard what doesn't. And that discipline, that awareness, is how you begin to build unshakable peace. One that doesn't rise and fall with other people's opinions. You protect your energy by choosing what you absorb. You protect your identity by deciding what you internalize. When someone misunderstands you, you don't need to rewrite yourself for their comfort. When they mislabel you, you don't need to react to every assumption. You are not obligated to carry every thought that's thrown your way. That's not strength, it's self-abandonment. Real strength is knowing what belongs in your heart and what belongs in the trash. And judgment that doesn't align with who you know you are, that belongs nowhere near your soul. The mind is powerful, but it needs direction. If you don't train it, the world will train it for you. And the world is loud. It's filled with noise designed to distract, compare, provoke, and confuse. So you need silence. You need moments of stillness. Spaces where you can hear your own voice again, not the echo of someone else's opinion, but the steady truth that lives underneath it all. That voice will never shout. It will whisper. It will remind you that you are worthy even when others don't see it. That you are enough, even when you are doubted. That you are growing even when it feels like you're standing still. Routines are not just habits. They are boundaries. They tell the world, this time is mine. This space is sacred, whether it's writing, walking, meditating, breathing. Whatever reconnects you to yourself must become non-negotiable. Because when your inner world is calm, no storm outside can shake you. You don't wait for the world to get quieter. You become the quiet in the middle of it. You weren't created to be reactive. You were designed for purpose. And purpose needs focus. It needs protection. It needs you to stop letting unqualified voices narrate your journey. No one else has the right to dictate your worth. Not through gossip, not through comments, not through cold stares or dismissive silence. Their judgment only carries the power you give it. So choose wisely. Choose what enters. Choose what stays. Fill your inner world with thoughts that strengthen you, not those that shame you. With truth, not fear. With clarity, not confusion. Because your peace is your power. And nothing, not even the harshest judgment, can touch someone who knows how to return to themselves. When you protect your mind, you protect your future. And that protection allows you to walk through life unbothered. Not because life is easy, but because you are finally aligned with who you are becoming. The final step in mastering judgment is understanding that your worth is independent of how others see you. You are not a reflection in their eyes. You are not a sum of their opinions. You are a whole being, complex and evolving, shaped by your choices, your values, your dreams, not by the judgments that swirl around you. When you truly grasp this, it changes everything. It frees you from the exhausting cycle of seeking approval, from the paralyzing fear of rejection. It lets you stand tall, even when the world tries to shake you. Self-worth is a choice you make every day. It's the quiet decision to honor yourself, regardless of outside noise. It's the commitment to show up for yourself first and foremost. When you do this, judgment loses its power because it no longer threatens the foundation of who you are. No external opinion can dismantle a self-worth built from the inside out. That foundation is unbreakable because it isn't based on fleeting praise or criticism. It's rooted in self-respect and self-awareness. You don't need anyone else to tell you that you're enough. You have to tell yourself, over and over, sometimes louder than the voices trying to pull you down. Because judgment is persistent. It's relentless. It finds cracks in your confidence and tries to widen them. But if you're intentional about the story you tell yourself, you stop letting it in. You become your own guardian, your own advocate, your own source of validation. This doesn't mean ignoring feedback or living in denial. It means filtering what serves your growth and discarding what limits you. True growth comes from self-reflection, not self-flagellation. It comes from honest assessment, not constant self-doubt. When you develop this kind of discernment, judgment becomes a tool instead of a weapon. You learn to listen without losing yourself. You learn to hear criticism without shrinking. You learn to see the difference between destructive judgment and constructive insight. Living with this clarity gives you freedom. Freedom to make decisions based on your values, not on fear of how you'll be perceived. Freedom to take risks, to fail, to grow without the chains of approval holding you back. Freedom to be imperfect and still worthy. That freedom is the ultimate form of power. It allows you to pursue your dreams without hesitation, to speak your truth without apology, to live boldly, knowing that the only judgment that matters is the one you pass on yourself. When you master this, you step into a new realm of confidence. You become unstoppable, not because you are flawless, but because you are unshakable. You become proof that judgment is not a barrier but a doorway, one you choose to walk through with courage, resilience, and unwavering self-love. You become the person who doesn't just handle judgment like a pro. You transcend it. You rise beyond it. You become free. The journey to handling judgment like a pro is not about eliminating judgment from your life, because that is impossible, but about transforming your relationship with it. When you realize that judgment is simply noise, and that your value remains untouchable regardless of it, you begin to live differently. You start to choose your responses, not react to them. You reclaim your power, your voice, your peace. This shift isn't just mental, it's visceral. It changes how you carry yourself, how you breathe, how you step into the world each day. This transformation demands practice. It requires patience with yourself when judgment still stings. Because old wounds take time to heal, and new confidence takes time to build. But every time you catch yourself spiraling into self-doubt, every time you choose self-compassion over criticism, you grow stronger. Every time you remind yourself that no outside opinion can define your worth, You reinforce a muscle that will carry you through every challenge. This muscle is resilience. It's your greatest weapon against the fear of judgment. You become resilient not by avoiding discomfort, but by welcoming it as a teacher. Judgment can feel like a storm, but storms don't last forever. They pass. And if you stand firm, rooted in self-trust, you emerge on the other side clearer, more focused, more alive. The discomfort is not your enemy. It is the signal that you are stepping beyond your old limits. You are growing, you are evolving, and growth rarely happens without some resistance. As you build this resilience, you begin to see judgment for what it truly is, a test of your commitment to yourself. Each time someone doubts you, it's an opportunity to prove your dedication, not to them, but to your own journey. You aren't seeking their approval, but you are demonstrating your strength. Not in spite of their words, but because of them. This mindset frees you from the trap of needing to justify yourself. You stop carrying the weight of proving your worth, because you already know it. You don't seek permission to exist. You claim it. This way of living demands radical honesty, with yourself and with the world. It means standing firmly in your values, even when they're unpopular. It means honoring your dreams, even when others question them. It means choosing courage over comfort every single day. Because the path to freedom is paved with moments where you choose your truth over others' opinions, where you choose your growth over their judgment, where you choose yourself. When you make this choice consistently, judgment loses its power to paralyze you. Instead, it becomes the fuel that propels you forward. It stops being a barrier and becomes a catalyst. And that is how you not only handle judgment like a pro, you transform it into your greatest ally. You become unstoppable, unshakable, unapologetically you. This is the freedom waiting for you, the freedom you deserve, the freedom you are capable of claiming right now.